Hey, Gabriella.
Hi.
All right, here comes Dominic. I'm guessing that's Judah. There's Judah. Who's Arthur? There we go, Arthur. There you are.
Hi.
All right, it is terrific to see you guys. Wonderful to meet you all. I'm very excited for our class. All right. I'll give Dominic a chance. Arthur, I need you to turn your camera on at least briefly at the beginning of all of our classes. All right. We'll hold on just a second there. Looks like you're in outer space there, Gabriella. No. All right. So,
It's a background picture.
what?
It's a background picture.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right. So, would you prefer Derlin or Gabriella?
Gabriella.
Okay. Why don't you change your name then? So that's what it says because I look at that to call on you guys. So that would be helpful to me. Do you know how to do that? Okay. Terrific. All right. Anybody have any questions for me? A couple of you have gotten started. Remember that your lessons are there. There is something to do every day, even if we don't have the live classes. So on Wednesdays, we have our live class. You don't have anything on those days. Yes. That's okay. No problem. No problem. All right. So we lost Arthur and we lost Dominic. We'll hold on just a second here. All right. Always takes a minute to get the computers to cooperate, doesn't it? They don't always want to work correctly. All right. So, what do you guys think of when you hear the term marine science? What do you think of?
The ocean.
Gabriella?
Underwater things.
Yeah, underwater things. Yeah. Specifically, what kind of water? What bodies of water? Gabriella?
Ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. So, marine science is the study of the oceans. And then, of course, the structures, the living things that are in the oceans. So, that's what we're going to be studying here. All right. Here we go. All right. So why don't you guys, if you have the ability to annotate, draw a circle or write your name or whatever on your state where you live. Do all you guys live in the United States?
Yeah, I live in the United States.
Where do you live, Judah?
Arizona.
Arizona. Can you draw on your computer?
I never did that before.
Okay. So down at the bottom or somewhere, there should be a thing that says annotate.
Like where?
Gabriella, can you show him or tell him?
No, I just wanted to say that I don't live in the United States right now, but I was born in the United States.
That's right. You live in Spain, right?
No,
No,
I
where
live
do you
in the
live?
DR,
Oh,
by
okay. Okay.
Cuba.
Okay. So you can draw your name like right down here. That's as close as we can get to where you are. All right. So Dominic is in Florida. Very cool, Dominic. Gabriella is going to be down here. I saw somebody up here, Judah. I think you were up here.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Where'd you go? If you can't annotate, tell me where you are and I will. So I'm going to do the text right here. Well, All right, so my name is Dr. Joseph, and I am your guide as you are learning about marine science this year. So I live right here. I'm trying to get the pen so that I can draw this. I live right here in Pennsylvania, right here in Philadelphia, that area right there. All right, who else have we got? So I think we have Dominic, Judah, Gabriella. Arthur, where do you live?
Florida.
Florida. All right, there we go. There we go. All right. I just think it's really cool to see where we all live, that we all live in different places. And yet we're able to study together. I think that's really fun. All right. Before we start talking about the oceans, I want to talk about Canvas. So have you guys have any of you taken online classes before? Okay, let's not
Yeah.
draw on the screen. Yeah, there you go. That would be helpful. Yeah. Has anybody not used Canvas before? Oh, okay. Dominic, you haven't? And Gabriella, you haven't? Okay. All right. Well, some important things that I want to talk to you about when you're using Canvas. I think that Dom, especially you've got sisters that have used Canvas. They're there to help you out with that. Gabriella, do you have anybody in your home who has used Canvas before? Okay, so let me show you. Let's just spend one quick minute here going over Canvas. Let's see here. All right, so this is what you see when you first will go into marine science. So right here is where the class recordings are. If you ever can't make a class, I post the recordings. They'll be right there. This is where you can click in order to come to the live class. So they are Wednesdays at 4 Eastern time. They're always going to be at this time. And you just click there and it'll take you right into Zoom. This is the big one right here. You click this to go to your daily assignments. Now, there's some just general things in this introduction, and then we start the real lessons. So October 21st was Monday. There was a lesson due on Monday, a lesson due on Tuesday, a lesson on Thursday and Friday, and today we're right here in the middle. So you just click on this, what is marine science, and you read from the top to the bottom. Sometimes I put in these audio recordings so you'll be able to hear me speaking to learn how to pronounce some of the words. And you just read to the bottom. And when you get, sometimes there will be activities that you do. It's always best to do the activities. Please try to do them if you can. I know you can't always, but when you can, you learn more. So we've got this, and then we get to take the quiz. So you click on that, and you can use all this information to take the quizzes. All the tests and quizzes in my classes are open book and open note. So you can go back and look up any answers that you're not sure of. You just go through this, you click the ones that are correct, you answer ones that require you to do some writing, and then you submit your quiz. And that's really all there is to that. What else is there? Let me show. Oh, announcements right here. If ever you see a little symbol right here, that means there's a new announcement for me, from me. Did you guys all get the reminder this morning about class today? You were just told to show up, right? Right. All right. Well, the announcement will be right there. So right here, you can see this was our reminder right here with the link that you come to. Okay. So a couple of important things to remember when you are using Canvas. Make sure that you always work your way down the assignment list. Don't skip any assignments. They go in order. So what that means is do what is marine science before you do oceans of the world. And then next do ocean zones. Don't say, oh, I don't want to learn oceans of the world. I want to learn the ocean floor first. They build on each other. So always do them in order, starting at the top and working your way all the way down the list. All right. Always use good spelling and grammar in your assignments, and make sure you click the button that says submit the quiz. And contact me through this right here where it says inbox. If you have a question for me, click on that and you can write to me right through Canvas inbox. Okay. All right, that's the important information that we need to talk about. All right, so what is the most interesting ocean animal you've ever seen in person?
An octopus
Octopus. Wow, where did you see an octopus, Judah?
in an aquarium.
Yeah, that's very cool. They are interesting animals. Anybody else?
Penguins.
A penguin. Penguins are cool, Arthur. Yeah, penguins are cool. Dom.
I saw baby seahorses.
Oh, they're so cute. They're tiny little things. Yeah, I think the most interesting one I've ever seen is a whale out in the ocean. So I went on a whale watching trip and I saw there were dozens of whales around us. That was very cool to see them. What is an ocean animal you wish you could see in person? Tom.
Frogfish.
Yeah, we're going to learn about frogfish. I wrote that down, so I'll make sure we do a little lesson about frogfish for you. Judah.
A great white shark.
A great. Well, we're going to talk about sharks too, Judah. I know that's one of your things that you wrote down you want to learn about. So we'll do that. Great whites are very cool. Gabriella.
The goblin shark.
Goblin shark. Yeah, they're really fascinating. Yeah. Arthur, do you have one you'd really hope to see?
Emperor penguin.
Yeah, emperor penguins are really cool. I like some of the movies they've done about emperor penguins. All right, how about this one? One ocean animal I hope I never see in person. Gabriella.
The blobfish.
The blobfish. Oh,
It's ugly.
they're actually not so ugly when they're down in their native habitat. They're
Yeah.
only ugly when you bring them up.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Judah,
they're very slow.
you're right. You're right. What do you think, Judah?
A cookie cutter shark.
A cookie cut. I've never heard of a cookie cutter shark. All right, I'm gonna have to write that down. I'll have to look that one up. That sounds interesting. You know, Judah, one I hope I never see is a great white. I think I'd be a little scared to see a great white coming at me. Cookie cutter shark. All right. All right. Dom,
A gulper eel.
say that again.
A gulper eel.
Oh, a gulper eel. Yeah. 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 All right. I will write that down too. I think I have some a little lesson about the gulper eel. All right. If you could be any ocean animal for one day, what would it be? Gabriella.
A dolphin.
A dolphin. Why would you be a dolphin?
Because they make cool sounds
They do.
and interesting ones.
The clicks and the chirps that they make. Judah,
And they all have their special names.
you're right. Judah,
An orca.
an orca. Ooh, that'd be a nice one. Nice and big. Not a lot of predators are after the orcas. Dominic,
Maybe a bull shark.
a bull shark? Yeah. Why would you want to be a bull shark?
I don't know.
They're
They're cool looking.
What about you, Arthur? If you could be any ocean animal?
A penguin.
I think we're seeing a pattern here. I think Arthur likes penguins. Yeah, yeah. All right. So marine science, we talked about at the beginning, it is the study of the ocean and the structures and the living things in the ocean. What do you already know about oceans? Just tell me a fact that you know about the oceans. Judah,
They're really big
they're really big.
and they
Yes,
have lots of sea creatures in it.
they do have lots of creatures in them. Excellent. Dom.
I learned this from one of the quizzes, but the sea plants give off 70% of the oxygen we breathe.
Isn't that fascinating? Yeah, I think that's very fascinating. We think it comes from trees, but it doesn't. It comes from the tiny plants in the oceans. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to learn a lot at the end of the year, the end of the semester. I think you guys will have a lot more to say about what you know about the oceans. So one thing I like to do in my classes is I always like to start out with some jokes. So you're going to have some jokes here. What is the best way to communicate with a fish? Drop it a line. Drop it a line. How does the ocean pay its water bill?
Mm.
With sand dollars. Why is the ocean so strong?
Because it's so big.
That's a good one, but no, because it has lots of muscles. Muscles. Why is planet Earth the friendliest planet in the solar system? Because it waves. Waves. I never promise that they're good jokes, just that they're jokes. They might be bad jokes sometimes. All right, enough jokes. So last week or this week on Monday and Tuesday, we started our course by just learning a little bit of general information about the oceans. So if you look at all those dots right there, those dots are all 1% of the water in the ocean. Now, the blue dots are salty. The red ones are fresh. So we can't really use salty water. The salt in it would do damage to us and to most living things. We use the fresh water, the water that doesn't have salt in it. When you look at those 3 red dots, only one of them is liquid usable water. The other 2 are frozen in icebergs and glaciers. So of all the water that's on the ocean, that's in the oceans, we can only use 1% of all of it. That's pretty crazy. There's a line from a poem, a very famous poem called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And in this poem, there are a bunch of sailors and they're on a ship that's stranded and they become very, very thirsty. Now they're surrounded by ocean water, but they can't drink it. There's a line in the poem that says, "Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink." Any idea why it's dangerous to drink seawater? Why couldn't those sailors who were so thirsty just have a drink of the ocean water? Dominic.
Because the salt would make them more thirsty.
Yeah, it actually would make them more thirsty. It pulls water out of their cells. Judah.
Because they don't want to accidentally drink salt water.
Yeah, it'd be a bad idea for them to do that. So when humans, so these are blood cells that are in this picture right here. When humans drink seawater, a huge amount of salt ends up in our bloodstream. Now, our bodies work really hard to make sure that we don't have too much salt in our blood. Water moves from the inside of our cells to the outside to try to keep that water balanced. Too much water going out of our cells because there's too much salt water in our blood makes our cells shrink. They look like this. You become dehydrated. So that's a really important reason that seawater is not something that people can drink. That 1% that is fresh water, that's what we have to use. Now, our bodies have kidneys. They're located right here, right under your stomach area. The kidneys are organs that filter the blood and get rid of the waste. Now, they try to flush the extra salt out of the water, and they do that by making urine, and that makes your body even drier. It dehydrates you even more. So if those sailors drank that seawater, they would end up thirstier than they were in the first place. Their bodies would try to get back to normal, and their cells would try to be getting the salt out. And eventually, if they kept drinking that salt water, they'd get headaches. They would become very dizzy. They might even die. Now, salt is not your enemy. We need some salt. We need a certain amount of salt to function. The amount of salt that you find even in salty food like crackers or popcorn or chips, soup, those kind of things, that's not nearly enough to be dangerous like drinking seawater would be. But have you ever noticed when you're eating something salty, you often feel thirsty? You ever notice that? Like when you eat potato chips or French fries, you get thirsty? That's because your brain is telling your body to drink more water. because it notices that your bloodstream is a little bit too salty. Interesting. All right, so if salt is so bad, salt in the ocean, you know, all that salt is so bad for us, how do fish that live in the ocean keep this from happening to them? How do they avoid becoming dehydrated because of the salt? Do you ever think about that? The reason that they don't is that they have a process called osmoregulation. So their gills, saltwater fish have gills. The gills are right here. The gills selectively pump the salt out or in to their blood. So in freshwater fish, they're constantly pumping the salt in. In saltwater fish, they're constantly pumping the salt out. So if a fish was losing more salt as it swam along, it would be going from freshwater to saltwater. Fish have to keep a certain amount of salt in their body, just like we do. So they have these special gills that allow them to do that. Now, there are also some marine mammals that drink salt water. So dolphins are one of them. They do sometimes drink salt water, but if they're given the choice, they prefer not to. They prefer to get their water from their food. And when they have to drink salty water, their urine is very salty. So they would much prefer to get their liquid from the food that they eat. All right, we're going to learn in this class about the 5 oceans of the world. So which ones do you already know? Somebody name an ocean. Dominic.
Atlantic,
Atlantic, yep. Gabriella.
Pacific,
Pacific. Judah.
Arctic.
Arctic. Arctic's way up here. What's this one right here called? Judah.
Indian.
That's the Indian. You got it. So we got Indian and then Arctic. And then what's this one at the bottom called? Dominic.
Southern,
Yeah, that is the Southern Ocean. So there they are. Those are the 5 oceans that we're going to learn about. Arctic, Atlantic, Indian, Pacific, and Southern. Now, in those oceans, there are continents. The oceans surround the continents, so we need to know them as well. What's this one right here?
North America.
North America, that's where we live. How about this one down here? Dominic.
South America,
South America, yep. How about this right up in here? Judah,
Wait, right over there?
right there in this area here.
Never
England.
mind.
Arthur,
Europe,
that is Europe. You got it. How about this one right here? Dominic,
Asia,
that's Asia. Yep, almost done. This one? Gabriella,
Africa,
Africa. And finally, this one. Well, there's 2 more. This one here, Judah,
Antarctic.
Antarctica. And then this one here,
Antarctica.
Arthur.
Australia,
That is Australia. Sometimes we call Australia Oceania. That's interesting. Some resources will call it both. Yeah, so we've got our continents, we've got our oceans. That's our world. And this makes it look like our world is actually mostly continents, doesn't it? But when you look at a globe, let me grab my globe here. When you look at a globe, you can see that the ocean is actually most of the globe. Like here, almost half of this one is Pacific Ocean. Takes up almost half of the oceans. But yeah, we'll talk about all of those oceans as we are looking at these. All right, now tomorrow's lesson is about what we call zones in the ocean. Zones are layers. So pay attention to these because knowing them will come in handy, right? So at the very top, that makes sense. The sunlit zone is, well, sunlight, that's where it hits. Sometimes it's called sunlit, sometimes it's called sunlight, but it's the zone near the top. Right underneath, where it's just a little bit starting to get dark, that's called the twilight zone. As we keep on going down, we hit next the midnight zone. Then we hit the abyssal zone. And finally, the very last zone is called the hadal zone, and it has trenches in it. So this zone right here, the darkest blue, that's called the hadal zone. It plunges down to the bottom of the world's deepest trench. Anybody know what that is? What's the name of the deepest trench in the ocean? Gabriella.
Mariana Trench.
Yeah, the Mariana Trench. Excellent. All right, Friday's lesson is going to be about the ocean floor. What do you guys think the ocean floor looks like? Judah.
Rough sand.
There's a lot of rough sand. Yeah. Dominic.
What our planet looks like?
It looks a lot like our land looks. It actually looks a lot like the land. It's just underwater. So there's mountains and there's valleys and there's smooth spots and there's rough spots and there's lots of sand and there's lots of sediment. So we've got a lot of different structures inside there. So these right here, these little peaks, the little mountains underneath, when their top does not stick out of the ocean, they're called a sea mount. So a mountain in the sea is a sea mount. These deep spaces right in here, this is a trench. So you can see another trench right here. They're like a canyon on the ocean floor. And then there's also some really cool things called hydrothermal vents. I think those are really interesting. Gabriella. Oh, okay. So this is what the seafloor might look like on what's called a relief map that shows how deep things are. This is a trench right here. This is a big ocean trench. And here we have some hydrothermal vents. It's really nice and warm by the hydrothermal vent. So let's watch this video about living things around a hydrothermal vent.
The earth cracks open. Fluid and minerals spew from the seafloor. Water shimmers. Life abounds. We're looking at hydrothermal vents, originally discovered near the Galapagos Rift in 1977. Basically, a hydrothermal vent is a hot spring produced by underwater volcanoes or tectonic activity. But what's really cool about them is the abundance and assortment of life that exists there. It's not life like we're used to up here on the surface. It's adapted to the dark conditions of the deep ocean. Organisms that live around hydrothermal vents don't rely on sunlight and photosynthesis. Instead, bacteria and archaea use a process called chemosynthesis to convert minerals and other chemicals in the water into energy. This bacterium is the base of the vent community food web and supports hundreds of species of animals. What kinds of animals? Well, scientists on the NOAA ship Okeanos Explorer went to the rift in 2011. And here's just some of what they saw. Riftia tubeworms, also called giant tubeworms, which can grow to their full size of almost 5 feet long in less than 2 years. Bathymodilus deep sea mussels, which are often the first creatures to colonize the vent, and are able to survive for a short time after the vent is inactive. Serpulid, or feather duster worms, and Tevnia tubeworms, which are often the food of choice for vent crabs, the top predator of the vent community. But it's not all animals down there. Researchers also saw white flocculent material erupting from the vents like a snowblower, an indicator of microbial life beneath the sea floor. And of course, there were fresh lava flows, which means the seafloor is continuing to change. And that change means there's always more to learn.
There's a lot of really, really interesting animals that call the ocean home. And the ones that are around a hydrothermal vent are just a small example of that. All right. Anybody know where the longest known mountain range in the universe is? Dom.
Isn't it the Ring of Fire?
No, the Ring of Fire is where two tectonic plates, where the Pacific tectonic plate meets all the other ones. There are lots of earthquakes and volcanoes around the Ring of Fire. It's pretty important, but it's not the longest known mountain range. Anybody else want to take a guess? I love it when you guys take guesses, even when you're wrong. It shows you're thinking, right? We always want to be thinking. And I'm wrong a lot too. The longest known mountain range in the universe is called the mid-ocean ridge. This is what it looks like. The red line there is the mid-ocean ridge. It stretches more than 40,000 miles, and more than 90% of it lies in the deep ocean. So the mid-ocean ridges of the world are connected. They form this single ridge system it's part of every ocean. You can see that it goes into every ocean. So it is the longest mountain range in the universe. All right, how about this one? When you look at the ocean, it looks blue. Why? Gabriella.
Because it reflects the sunlight and the sky.
Not exactly. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. Dominic.
I think it's because it like takes the blue color from the sun rays. It takes mostly the blue sun rays.
You're right on the edge of it. Yeah, you're both on the right track. So the answer has to do with the way water absorbs light. So remember that from the sun, we have this giant amount of light that comes from the sun. Only a little bit of the light that comes from the sun is light that we can see. This right here. All the rest of it, we can't see X-rays, gamma rays or X-rays or ultraviolet, microwaves or radio waves. We can't see those, but we can see light right here in this space of waves. Now, the light that comes from the sun has all the colors of the rainbow in it. So in every beam of light that comes from the sun, there are all the colors that we can see. Each color that we see is actually a ray of light that has a different wavelength. Now, of those wavelengths, violet, way down here, has the shortest wavelength, and red has the longest. Now, some of the wavelengths that we can't see are things like ultraviolet and infrared. Well, when white light hits something, that object absorbs some of the light rays, and others it reflects back. So what we see is the color that's reflected back. So when you look at a banana and the banana looks yellow, it's because the banana is absorbing all the other colors, but reflecting back the yellow light. If an object absorbs all of the wavelengths of light, all of them, it appears white. If an object, if it reflects all of the colors, it appears white. If it absorbs all of the colors, it appears black. If it absorbs everything except green, it appears green. So large bodies of water absorb most of the longer and shorter wavelengths, but it sends back to us the waves, the light waves that we see as blue. And water molecules scatter that blue light all around. That makes the water look even bluer. So if that's true, why do you guys think some oceans look kind of brown?
Because it's dirty.
Yeah, exactly. There could be dirt or sand particles that are reflecting other colors that combine to make it look brown. Sometimes the ocean might look greenish blue. Anybody have any idea why it might look greenish? Give it a try, Dominic.
Maybe the salt.
Salt's a good guess. Not salt though. Think about the things on the land that look green. Arthur. Algae, yeah. There are these tiny little organisms called algae that reflect green light. They reflect like a bluish green light. And that's why sometimes the ocean might look green. Why might the ocean sometimes look reddish?
Because of the blood of some of the creatures.
Oh, that's a good guess, but not really. Blood would be absorbed into the water pretty quickly. Gabriella.
Because of maybe a type of clay.
That's another good guess. There really isn't a lot of clay that would make its way into the oceans. It's mostly sandy. There would be clay underneath. It'd be algae again. There's some algae that's red. So really the color of the water has a lot to do with what's in the water. And a lot of times that is algae. All right, now, you guys think the oceans are quiet or loud?
Loud.
Yeah, oceans are pretty noisy. What are some of the things in the ocean that might make sound?
Waves.
Waves, for sure. Arthur.
Let's see, there's several creatures I know of that would make a bunch of sounds. Let's see, there's seabirds. Those definitely make noises.
Yeah, they definitely would make noise. Yeah, the animals. Gabriella.
When the ring of fire, like when it's about to make an, when it's about like when all the volcanoes are about to erupt, like they send earthquakes and things like that that make sound.
Yes, earthquakes, volcanoes, underwater landslides, all of those things. And you're right, around the Ring of Fire, there would be a lot, but there's a lot of that that happens in all the oceans. Think about the sound an iceberg makes when it breaks off of a glacier. And all the animals. So there's animals like dolphins and whales. They use sound for navigating. They use their echolocation in order to be able to communicate with one another. And then there's the things that people do in the oceans. We have ships and submarines that we put into the ocean, and they make sounds too. One interesting thing about sound is that sound travels faster and farther underwater than it does in the air. So sounds underwater will travel a long way and they'll seem louder. Thought you guys might like to listen to the sound that a humpback whale makes. Kind of a cool sound, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gabriella.
It sounds like a violin. A violin.
It does, like an orchestra tuning up their violins. You're absolutely right about that. Have you guys ever heard the tongue twister? Tongue twister. She sells seashells at the seashore. So yeah, try and say that 3 times fast. She sells seashells at the seashore. She sells seashells at the seashore. She sells I can do it once. Second time I mess up. How are seashells made? What are they made of? Dominic.
They're made of sand.
That's a very good guess. There would be some sand in them. They're actually made by the animals themselves. Judah.
I was gonna say they're made out of bones.
No, but they kind of function like a bone. That's a good guess. Yeah. So most seashells. Oh, go ahead, Gabriella. Sorry.
Maybe the saliva of animals that get harder.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
That maybe the saliva of some animals that makes it harder.
Oh, you're really on the right track. It's not exactly saliva, but it is a liquid that they secrete that then gets hard. So most of them are a hard protective outer layer of animals, and they come from animals that are called mollusks, among others. Now, seashells are made of a substance called calcium carbonate. It's actually the same substance that covers a lot of insects. So you know, insects that have an exoskeleton, that exoskeleton is also made of the same thing shells are made out of. Now, most of the seashells that you find on the beach are not attached to a living organism anymore. Some of them are, though. So most seashells are going to come from mollusks. So these are things like clams and mussels and oysters, and they are excreted from the outside of the animal. And they're made up of that calcium carbonate. So it's as if, think of it as like, it's not exactly sweat, but you know how we sweat and the outside of us gets liquidy, gets wet? Imagine if that hardened and we kept secreting and it kept hardening. That's kind of what it's like for a seashell, for an animal that has a seashell. And the older the animal gets, the larger and the thicker its shell is. So this is what what calcium carbonate looks like. This is the chemical structure of calcium carbonate. It's made out of calcium and carbon and oxygen. So everything in the universe is made up of atoms, right? You guys probably already have learned that before. When those atoms combine with other atoms, like this is an atom combined with this, what do we call a bunch of atoms that are combined together like this? Gabriella.
A module.
Yeah, that's right. When atoms combine with other atoms, we call them molecules. So you guys are going to learn a lot about atoms and molecules in a chemistry class someday. We're not going to do a lot of chemistry this year, but we are going to do a little bit. So calcium carbonate makes up about 4% of the crust of the earth, and we find it everywhere in the world. If you've ever drawn with sidewalk chalk, that's calcium carbonate. That's what you're drawing with. It's also the same thing that you find on the shell of an animal, like these. Now take a look at the different color patterns that we see there. Color patterns are specific to different species, and it lets us know them apart, because the same kind of animal that made this shell is not going to make a shell like this. So after the animal dies, this calcium carbonate shell stays behind, and then oceans carry them to the beach where they rest. Now, the beaches change a little bit each time the tide comes in, so patches of these shells might be moved around all day long. So let's talk about some of the animals that make shells. These are called gastropods. Gastro means stomach, pod means foot. Isn't that a funny name? It means stomach, foot. Now, a lot of the sea shells that you find in the ocean come from animals that are gastropods like this. Many of these animals are scavengers, and they move water through their shell and sift the food out of the water. Let's see here. Here's another one. These ones that open like this, the shells that open this way, those are called bivalves. Now, this is what people a lot of times think of when they think of the word seashell. So things like clams and oysters and scallops, they make up this class of mollusks. So all of these bivalves, they all live in water. They'll have two shell halves that close to protect the animal, and mostly they eat by filtering the water. All right, let's see here. Look at that word, polyplacophores. So these are sometimes called chitons, and they also live in the water. And they've got these 8 plates on them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the last one's up here, 8. They're pretty simple. They crawl around into crevices in search of food, and they roll up in a ball. Have any of you guys ever seen a pill bug that rolls up into a ball? This is the ocean equivalent of those. There's about 1,000 species of them, and they can be up to this big, up to 13 inches long. That's pretty big. Imagine a pill bug that big. Yeah, I wouldn't like that. These I think are cool. Cephalopods. This is where octopuses come in. Octopuses are cephalopods. And this is a nautilus right here. This is what the animal looks like. This is what the inside of its shell looks like. So it is the nautilus here. It's the only cephalopod that has a shell. So even though an octopus and a squid, they're cephalopods, they don't have shells. So they are easily able to see at night, and they're very smart compared to other organisms that live in the ocean. Now look at these scaphophones. They make shells that are tusk-shaped, but they have an opening at each end. And the animals live on the bottom of the ocean. And they have a sharp mouth part that can grind away the shells of other animals. So this is what they look like, the animal that lives inside there. This is what the shell itself looks like. And this is what the anatomy of them looks like. This is what they look like on the inside. So this is what you're seeing sticking out right here, the tentacles. They're pretty cool. Now, there are also some other types of seashells and seashell-like creatures that come from crustaceans, and these echinoderms is what these are called. Sea stars and brittle stars and sea urchins and sand dollars. Yeah. Now, these are some exceptions to the generalities of animals. This echinoderm, this means spiky skin, and they've got a hard exoskeleton that after it dies, this exoskeleton stays. So you can sometimes find dead sea stars in the bottom of the ocean. All right. You guys surprised by this? We have only explored about 5% of the world's oceans. There's a lot more that we have to discover about the world's oceans. All right. Anybody have any questions? All right. Do you guys know what Kahoot is?
No.
No. All right. So I want to play a game called Kahoot. This is a game that if you have a phone that you can use or a tablet that you can use, that's a good way to play the game. If not, you can open it on your computer right here. Dominic.
I was gonna ask you if I could use my computer that I'm having Zoom on.
Yep, you can use your computer. So let me show you how to do that. So right here, see this little little squares right here up
Yeah.
top corner?
Wait,
If you
oh,
click on
yeah?
those, that'll make your window small. And
Okay.
then you can open another one right here and you can put your Kahoot on that one. You can have two windows right next to each other.
So how do you do that? So I have to X
Okay, I'm
off?
going to show you again. No, don't X out
Mm.
because then you'll leave. You'll leave here. Okay, so let's say this is your Zoom window. Let me do one. Let's do a let's just do a Google. Let me see here. Here, let's do this one. So let's say you're looking at Zoom right here. If you click
Okay.
this little square, there's a negative sign, a square, and an X. Click
Yeah.
the square, and that makes it small like this. Now, right here where there's a plus,
Yeah.
click that plus, and that'll open another one. Then just click that, left click that, and drag it over.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
So
If
make
you're
it
not able to play the
smaller.
game, if you can't do this, you can just watch. And I think you'll learn just by watching.
Yeah.
Okay? Now we're going to play the game. So what you're going to do in your new window that you just opened right here, the new window that you just opened, you're going to type www.kahoot, KAHOOT.IT. I'm going to type that into the chat box so that you can copy and paste it.
How are we able to copy this and paste it?
I'm sorry, what?
How do we copy it and paste it?
You can either copy and paste it right from the chat box that I just sent you. It looks like this.
Looks like what?
Meeting chat. Or you can just type it
Where's
in.
the chat
Judah.
box?
At the bottom where your annotate was, there's a thing that says chat.
And annotate? What's annotate?
How you drew on that map.
Okay.
If you go down where you saw that, you should see one that says chat.
There we go. Yes.
Which one says chat?
Gabriella.
More. If you press on more on the top by leave button or on the bottom, it'll say chat. And also what's the passcode?
The passcode is going to be,
Wait.
You had to go on more.
yeah, click on where it says more, and then there should be one that says chat.
More.
What's the game code? No, how do you
sending it
like
to you right
what's
now.
like no like what's
89571.
no like the
Where?
like WW like that.
I sent it to you in the meeting chat. www.kahoot.it.
Do I
All
have to
right,
push more?
Gabriella's in.
Do I have to push more?
You should be able to. Are you in Kahoot.it yet, Judah?
No. I said, do you have to are you saying that I had to push more? Because I'm still in the meeting.
Yeah, you want to stay in the meeting. Otherwise, you will lose. You know, I don't want you to leave the meeting.
Do I have to push more? On here?
So you should go to, like, if you have a tab open like this, let me show you.
How do I do that even though I'm not going, how do I do that and try not to get out of the meeting?
So you should, you have two windows open like this?
Okay.
In one of them,
Yeah.
type www.kahoot.it.
I have to?
Yeah,
That
you have to
one
open a
chat?
new window.
Do I have to go on chat?
No, you don't have to go in chat at all.
Then what do I have to do?
Open a new window by clicking right here. See the plus sign?
Wait, see the plus sign?
At the very top of your screen, when you're looking at the Zoom call, at the very top of the screen, there should be where there's a little plus sign.
Yeah, I pushed it.
Okay, so now in that plus sign, type in www
Okay.
dot KAHOOT
Okay.
dot IT.
Dot IT.
Yep. And now enter.
I got like half of that. It was www.
Dot Kahoot.it.
Dot. How do you okay.
KAHOOT.
Dot OT.
IT.
IT.
Like it.
Every time I go on Kendra says every time I go on Kahoot, I can't see you guys.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. You don't need to be able to see us.
What's the game pin?
Can you see where it says game pin, Judah?
Yeah.
Okay, type in 89
8 9
571.
5 7 1.
Okay, enter.
And enter.
Okay. Can I make myself a nickname?
Yep, make yourself a nickname or use Judah, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Okay, you're in?
No, not yet. Do I push okay, go?
Yes. Okay, so who are we waiting for?
I
Who's
think you're
J
waiting
Rex?
for me.
Okay. Put in your nickname and then just click the go.
Already did.
Okay. All right. So you're in now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there. We have everybody. Yay. All right. We're only gonna have time.
I'm choosing my character right now.
Okay, that's fine. We have to get started because we only got 2 minutes to play and then class is over. So we'll try and do this next time. Now that we all know how to do it, we all know how to get in. Okay. Now here we go. Okay, what continent is this? Click the continent. So you click whatever color you think. Oh, we lost Judah. After all that. Oh, well. All right, this is North America. North America. All right, so tags 13 got there first. Gabriella, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, here is our next one. What continent is this right here? And all these little islands. Try to answer quickly if you can. All right, that is Australia, Oceania. All right. I think I can. I'm going to take that out. Okay, there we go. Question 3. What continent is this? That is Europe. That is Europe. I'm gonna go real fast so that we can get through the continents. What continent is this? That is Africa. Well done. Huh. What ocean is west of North America and east of Asia? All right, that is, let's see here. I'm gonna have to end this. So we'll see. When you end the Kahoot, it gives you a board that tells you. So Gabriella was in third place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was in second place. And in first place, we have, who is this? Tags 13. Who was Tags 13? All right, Dominic, well done. All right. So
That's
we
what
will
they
do-
call me in hockey because I have a friend named Dominic on my team.
Oh, that's
So-
cool. All right, so we're gonna have to go. Class is over now. So now that we all know how to play Kahoot, we'll do it again. Okay? All right, they'll go faster next time. All right, you guys have a wonderful week. I'm so glad to meet all of you. This is gonna be a fun
Bye.
class. Gabriella. Oh, I thought you were asking
No,
a
I just
question.
sing bad.
Okay, bye everybody. Contact me if you have any questions.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.